we are going to go over the simplifying expressions quiz. If there are any questions that you lost any points on your blank copy, you are going to do the work and show the correct answer. You might need to box things up. You might want to consider using highlighters, because these are the strategies that are going to help you be successful when you're completing these on your own. Okay, number one, when you're identifying the parts of the expression, you should start by boxing up each of the terms. So you box up the first term, and then you always take the sign and then whatever comes after it. So we have boxed it up. The terms are just all the pieces, and you have to remember to include any negatives that might be looking like subtraction signs right now. So our terms are 4x, -7, x, and 2. For your like terms, you're trying to find the terms that are the same. They have the same type of variable, or they could just be those plain old boring numbers. So our like terms are going to be the x's, which would be 4x and x, and those plain old boring numbers, that second pair then would be -7 and 2. For coefficients, you're going to look for the terms that have variables, but you're only going to give the number that comes in front of it. So those are our two pieces that have variables. So the first coefficient then would be 4, because it's in front of that x. And this one, even though it's not there, there is an invisible 1. So our coefficients are 4 and 1. And then constants. Constants are plain old boring terms. So that would be -7 and 2. I know a lot of you mixed up the coefficients and constants, so please make sure you have that correct. Okay, distributing. We need to multiply the number on the outside with what's on the inside. So a good strategy would be to highlight each of the pieces. And for that second part of the parenthesis, I'm going to make sure I include the sign that comes with it, because that will be important. So for this one here, we're going to do 6 times x is 6x. And then 6 times a +3 is +18. They are not like terms, so you can't do anything else with them. That's your answer. For the second one, I'm going to highlight the -2, highlight the 3a, and highlight the +4. Now I can multiply. -2 times 3a, I'm just going to multiply the numbers and stick the a on. That would be -6a. -2 times a +4 would be a -8, so I just write -8. For C, you can do it with how it looks. However, if that number is bothering you, just rewrite it and stick that 7 in front of the parentheses. So now we're multiplying that 7 by the 5 by the -a. So 7 times 5 would be 35. 7 times a -a would be a -7a. The next one, it's like there's an invisible 1 right there. So we are really distributing a -1 to both of the pieces on the inside. And notice I'm going to highlight the minus with the 8. So from there, -1 times 3x is -3x. -1 times -8 would be a +8. Make sure you know your integer rules, especially with multiplying and dividing. The last one, multiplying a -4 by the two pieces on the inside. So I'm going to highlight the x and then the -5. -4 times x is -4x. -4 times a -5 is a +20. And that is how we distribute. The next section is combining like terms. I highly recommend, as you know, to box up your terms before you start trying to put things together. Okay, so here we have a 3x, a +5, a +2x, and a +6. And I'm going to figure out what I'm allowed to put together. I can do my 3x and my +2x, and I can do my +5 and my +6. So I like writing it out. We'll do 3x plus 2x, and that would just be 5x. I also have a 5 plus 6, which would be an 11. And now I just have to put them together in my final expression. So it would be 5x And even though it's a positive 11, and normally I wouldn't put the plus because I'm putting the two pieces together, I need to include the plus 11. Once again, not like terms, cannot go any further than that. For B, I'm going to box up the 4x, the minus 7, the plus x, and the plus 2. I can put together my x's, and I can put together my constants. That was a plus there, I kind of wrote over it. For my x's, I have 4x plus x. Okay, if you forget, remember there's an invisible 1 there. So that would also give me 5x. And then negative 7 plus 2, the signs are different. We find the difference. That gives us negative 5. So we could write 5x minus 5. I forgot to say that, remember with your answers, you can do it both ways. So for A, you could have said 5x plus 11. Or if you wanted to, you could have said 11 plus 5x. For this one here, you can also say negative 5 plus 5x. Okay, for C, box it up. Negative 3a minus 7 plus 4y minus 2a. And there is actually only one set of like terms here, and that would be the 2a's. So the other pieces you can't do anything with, you're just going to bring them down. Okay, so negative 3a minus 2a, or you can think of that as a negative 3a with a negative 2a. Together you have negative 5a. And you can't do anything with these like I said, so it's just negative 5a minus 7 plus 4y. Or you could have said negative 5a plus 4y minus 7. Okay, or there's lots of other variations. Okay, well, not lots, but a couple other variations. I'm not going to write them all. But as long as all of your signs in front of each of the pieces is the same, then you're good. Okay, next page. Perimeter. Perimeter means the distance outside the shape. So this side, this side, this side, and this side, and you add them up. Okay, so I'm going to take that 4x minus 2, add the 8, but you have to be careful because that's only 2 of the sides. If this is 4x minus 2, then this is also 4x minus 2. And if that right side is 8, then this side is 8. So we actually have to add in another 4x minus 2, and then another 8. You might want to box things up. We got 4x minus 2 plus 8 plus 4x minus 2 plus 8. My x's together give me 8x. My constants, oops, did not mean to scribble. I meant to highlight. My negative 2, positive 8, negative 2, positive 8. Okay, well, if you think about that, oops, time out. Hello? Hey. No, I do not, but I guess it was never changed in classroom. Okay, yeah, can you make an announcement that there isn't today? Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. I got a phone call. So now 8x, and then, sorry, from here, negative 2 plus 8 is 6. This would also give you a 6, so together, 8x plus 12. Okay, that's your perimeter. And the final section. Okay, we have distributing and combining at the same time, but we must distribute first. So I'm going to say let's do this plus 2. It's good to take the sign in front of it. We have an x, we have a negative 4. So when we distribute, that's going to become a positive 2x and a negative 8. And then I have to just bring down my 9x. From there, I would box it up. I can put my x's together. So my final answer would be 11x minus 8. In the next one, I can distribute the positive 2 to the 3x and the positive 4. Positive 2 times a positive 3x is a positive 6x. Positive 2 times a positive 4 is a positive 8. Bring down that 5 out front. We have a 5, a plus 6x, and a plus 8. I can put together my 5 and my 8. So my final answer would be 6x plus 13. For the next one, I am distributing a negative 2 to a 5x and a positive 8. So negative 2 times 5x is negative 10x. Negative 2 times 8 would be a negative 16. Bring down my 3x and my minus 4. Now we box it up. Taking the sign with what comes after. Here I can put my 3x and my negative 10x together. 3 minus 10 would be negative 7x. And then, oops, scribbled again. We got negative 4 and negative 16. Signs are the same, so we must add them together and keep the sign. So that would be negative 20. And the last one, you have to be careful here. You are actually distributing, if you throw in that 1, that invisible negative 1. So I'm going to highlight each of my pieces. Negative 1 times 3x would be negative 3x. Negative 1 times negative 4 would be positive 4. Be 7x minus 3x plus 4 plus 9. We box it up. Our pieces are 7x minus 3x. That would be 4x. And then positive 4 and positive 9 would be positive 13. If you are interested in the bonus, we have to distribute the 3/4 to both of the pieces. When you do that, definitely have to do a little bit of work with the fractions. I'm going to do on the side 3/4 times 2x. That's really over 1. And what I can do is I can reduce these numbers across the diagonal. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. It's really just like 3/2 x. Okay, or you can put the x on top of the 3. It really doesn't matter. Then we do 3/4 times the negative 2/3. Well, our 3's actually reduce out to 1's. Our 2's reduce also. That becomes a 1, that becomes a 2. Altogether, this is a negative 1/2. Okay, a positive times a negative. Bring down our plus 3/7. And then we just have to put our two constants together. We do need a common denominator, though. So that'd be negative 1/2 plus 3/7. Our denominator would be 14. So this would be times 7 times 7. That would be negative 7/14. Times 2 times 2. That would be a positive 6. So together, they're different signs, so we actually subtract them. This is going to give us a negative 1/14. And we just bring down our 3/2 x. And that is our answer.